Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Nuggets News. It's been a big week. There's green across the board. Ripple leading the way there over 100% in the last 7 days. So we're going to talk about all that and the big news. But to start off with, on this day in crypto history. So it was this time last year, the last week of September, when the China headlines were really causing a lot of confusion and FUD. And at the time, China accounted for 80% of Bitcoin transactions in yuan. So a lot of people were scared. And it's funny, I've spoken about this before, that we see, South Korea be so important, and then Japan, China, but that baton gets passed and other people will pick it up. And whether or not that's Africa in the future, we just don't know. But Bitcoin finds a way to survive and thrive. It's anti-fragile. The honey badger continues on its merry way. In 2015, the Aussie banks declared war on any Bitcoin companies, so closing their accounts for that reason. I had bank accounts affected at the time. I'm sure plenty of you guys did. It's an ongoing battle. It happens behind the scene these days because the companies involved don't want to make a song and dance on Twitter or whatever, because that just makes it less likely for them to get an account with another bank. So it's great that companies like Finder.com.au and HiveX that we interviewed and have partnered with recently, they're helping these companies get banked. So it's an ongoing battle, but hopefully one that we are starting to win and will take market share off the banks in the future. We seem to be talking about the banks a lot. So Visa and MasterCard just agreed to pay $6 billion to settle this and get it over and done with. These banks, and they're always in the news every week. So as I said here, nothing's really changed since the GFC. This is why Bitcoin's going to succeed in the long run, guys, building that new financial system, because this was just one of the biggest scandals in European banking history. $234 billion laundered. Now, last week I misquoted this. So I actually thought the Japanese central bank owned 50% of the ETFs, buying up stock market and shares to keep everything propped up. They actually own 71%, which is absolutely insane. But have a Google and read about that, because that is distorting the market. That's what we see in a number of countries now. Does this mean the stock market would be 70% lower if the central bank hadn't printed money out of thin air to buy shares and ETFs? Who knows? So on the theme of banks here, guys, this is one that wasn't spoken about a lot this week. So 15 major players stepping in to build an Ethereum-based platform, again, to track commodities and so on. So this is something I've spoken about so much, and we saw these huge issues in Australia this week with needles being found in strawberries, and then accusations of other fruits, apples, bananas, and mangoes, and so on. And today, someone's been charged with false claims. So it does carry a jail sentence, guys, if you want to put a needle in it at home yourself and then claim that you bought that. So it's sad that this is happening. Whether it's the false claims or the real claims, or if it's kids doing this in supermarkets, it hurts the farmers and the growers. And systems, whether it's Block Grain or some other one in the future, that can track, scan it at each point, do these safety checks. This is all going to become very important in the future, because this sort of stuff that gets glorified in the news, whether or not it encourages other kids or competition to go out and do it, we don't really have an answer to this yet, other than just dump all these strawberries in a tip. And it's really sad. So it's great to see people going out and trying to buy these strawberries and support the farmers and whatnot, but unfortunately this is the way the system works at the moment, and it is a vulnerability. So a couple of good news items out of Australia this week. I tweeted that Hut32, so an AI-based project, working hard behind the scenes. I haven't had them on the channel yet, but they announced that they've got a fully ASIC and AUSTRAC compliant Ethereum stablecoin. So they're calling it the on-ramp. It's going to be widely traded, and I'm going to be talking to other companies about possibly integrating this. And then the next day we had another company come out and claim that they're going to be the first Aussie dollar stablecoin. So we've already seen Haven talk about the NAUD. We've now got these two companies as well. So plenty of options there, guys. I'll keep you up to date with all this. Once it's all working, I'll do tutorials showing you how to take profits into Aussie dollar pegged ERC20 tokens, so you can basically take profits into your hardware wallet. Now, this was interesting. The chart guys do a lot of trading with the weed stocks. So Tilray was one that's just been all over the media, and I started to get flooded with my inbox from other trading newsletters I'm subscribed to. When everyone is talking about this is where your crypto experience pays off. These things that just go up 1,000% in a few weeks from $30 to $300. That's when you should be the contrarian. So thinking, how do I short this? Selling options, shorting the stock, and so on, guys. So these lessons you learn about emotions and charting, it's going to be important to transfer that to other industries and build a lifetime of knowledge by learning how to do this, guys. We've got the courses, the chart guys, Trader Cobb and so on in the description below, and discounts. If you can learn from the free stuff out there, that's fine, guys. But I think this really is lifelong education. Maker DAI, the code is ready for multi-collateral DAI. So if you don't understand what that means, guys, check out the videos I've done about Maker. But at the moment, their stablecoin is fully backed by Ethereum in smart contracts. But in the future, you can have multi-cryptocurrencies serving as the collateral. So hopefully we have gold-backed, GDX tokens. Stablecoins, we can put all these things into smart contracts. It's just fantastic the work that the Maker team are doing behind the scenes for years now, and it's finally ready to launch this multi-collateral DAI behind that DAI stablecoin. Other updates this week, Raiden, the Ethereum Lightning Network, may be as close as 2 weeks away if it's bug-free to launch on mainnet. So that is very exciting. And again, then it's going to come down to how easy it is to set up a node, the apps. It's very technical at the moment, as we've seen with Bitcoin, but it is getting easier and easier. And I know some friends in Australia that are even working on a really friendly app, so you can download that, run a Lightning node without being technically minded. And the more we have of that, guys, the more it becomes decentralized rather than relying on these, bank style routing in that, which is a bit of a fear that some of the community are pushing. But like everything, guys, this is going to evolve and develop and hopefully really benefit Bitcoin and in Ethereum in this case. Next up here, Ethfinex. So I've spoken about this a little bit, and the Nectar token, this is another decentralized exchange, but they're introducing trustless. So a bit like a decentralized exchange, even a further step away where there's no, sign in, an account and whatever. So you can access the order book and the liquidity, which is the issue most decentralized exchanges are facing, that there's not enough liquidity and trading volume there. So by integrating this, you can trade in a decentralized sort of trustless manner, but still getting access to the Bitfinex and Ethfinex order books. And this is all done on chain. So that's basically, we know the benefits of blockchain allowing for this, so we don't have to trust an exchange and so on. So pretty cool stuff. Again, I've done tutorials on Ethfinex if you want to check those out. This is what I love, guys. These really strong fundamental coins are the ones that the community are getting behind. So to see a Misa Go and 0x being two coins that I'm just so passionate about, being the first listed before they roll out over 40 other good coins with DAI stablecoin pairs and so on. This is just the whole, Ethereum community and technology. It's all coming together, which is I just absolutely love to see, and I'll be certainly using this platform in the future. I've got my Litecoin shirt on today. Charlie had a bit of a tweet storm. Look, there's been some FUD and a bit of fear and whatever about Litecoin no longer really having a use case if Bitcoin has Lightning Network and so on. But I'm a big believer that Litecoin is going to play a role in the future. It's always going to complement Bitcoin, that silver to Bitcoin's gold. It's going to act as a test bed. Read that tweet storm from Charlie there. I commented back saying, Charlie, you forgot one thing. Litecoin is now the oldest coin without a hard fork. So that trust and community, being united, guys that have been in the space for years, it's a little bit like Dogecoin in this, they don't take themselves too seriously. They're going to do what they're going to do. A lot of guys have made a lot of money in holding a lot of Litecoin. Yes, Charlie sold, but for me, that's not really an issue. I just think that Litecoin is going to play a big role in the future. And again, when people are scared and thinking something's dead, maybe that's the good time to be accumulating. So the big news this week was a bug that was found, and developers didn't release the full details to start off with. So there was fear that, again, without getting too technical, miners could incorporate 2 transactions in one block, and that would effectively print new Bitcoins and increase the supply. Now, they found another bug and they released the patch to update the other one first because they were scared that if they told everyone the truth about printing new Bitcoins, there might be some bad actors, and they wanted to incorporate this patch into the next update so it wasn't possible to increase the supply of Bitcoins. And then they sort of released the full details about how this is all going to work and what the issues were. So yes, it's pretty scary that something like this can have been in Bitcoin for so long and not being picked up, but that's why Bitcoin has this take slow approach compared to go fast and break things and experimenting with new technology and so on. So great to see this was picked up, even if it was a little bit late, and we'll continue to develop and make this network stronger. So Mike Novogratz made some pretty big claims last week that the bottom was in for Ethereum and whatnot. And again, this week coming out and saying that this is the classic bottom and that he believes that institutional investors are going to get FOMO if we take off and the market's showing signs of seller fatigue. I certainly think the worst is behind us. So as I've said for a while, guys, maybe there's another 10 or 20% down if we get that ETF rejected and so on. But the 90% correction in altcoins and the 70% in Bitcoin, the worst is behind us in my mind, guys. US Congress coming out, trying to pass a bill supporting blockchain technology and crypto. These are the headlines we want to see, guys. Yes, there's some congressmen that hate crypto, but there's always the guys that want to, stick up and be advocates, and look at how fast they've become Twitter celebrities and got the community support. Anyone that speaks positively about this stuff. This was probably the big headline of the week, though, guys, and there's still a bit of confusion about this. So the SEC putting out, a proposal and saying, look, we want more feedback. 1,400 comments so far. I'm not going to go into details, guys. I did that great video with Dan if you want details about how we think this is going to play out and exactly what that all means, and also about what happens next and why I don't think Bitcoin wants or needs ETFs. So yes, the market is going to be obsessed with this and the headlines and so on, guys, but my thought. I hope that you guys are on the same page in that we don't need Wall Street for Bitcoin to succeed ultimately. The other thing that got the market a little bit excited this week was Ripple. So Ripple came out and said that we might have our XRapid payment solution in the next month or so, which is going to use the XRP token. So that's what excites the Ripple holders, and the guys that aren't fans of Ripple sort of saying, is XRP token even needed in the XRapid platform and the Ripple Labs technology and so on. So that's kind of the two sides to the argument, and I'll let you guys be the judge of where you want to stand on that. This was good news, but I don't think it was game-changing news. This is what Ripple has always kind of said was their aim. So I thought this got a little bit too much of a reaction. So that was my thesis, and again, this led to my trade. So I just want to walk you through my thought process. So we've got a headline. Ripple absolutely took off. 4-hour RSI was over 95. Hype and euphoria everywhere. So I entered a short at 63 cents. Again, it just went absolutely parabolic after that, and I added at 79 cents. So as I said, this was just getting ridiculous, and nothing goes up like this without coming down. Have your game plan, have your experience. Don't over leverage yourself, on BitMEX or something like that, guys, where you're going to get stopped out if you get in a little bit too early. Ladder orders, get a nice average price, and sure enough, by being patient, learning these lessons and having a plan, there hasn't been a lot of trade over the past few months, but by buying Ethereum and getting long at 171 and then shorting Ripple, that's 2 huge trades. By just, again, learning patience is the most important thing, respecting your capital. If you want to overtrade when the market doesn't have clear direction, it's the easiest way just to gradually lose money and being worn down. So I was really happy with those 2 trades. I know our members were as well. A lot of people making a lot of money this week with some classic cases of blood in the streets and fear to the downside, and euphoria with something going up 170%. In a few days, it has to come back down at some point. The other thing we spoke about a couple of weeks ago was keeping an eye on the total market cap and how we tend to revisit these sort of areas of consolidation. Now, we're not quite there with Bitcoin. Again, that fits my thesis of possibly 5 or 10% to the downside if we haven't bottomed already. But definitely with altcoins, this area here between 70 and $80 billion, where we've gone sideways and built really strong support, we've come down and touched that now. And altcoins led by whether it was Ethereum or Ripple this week, are definitely showing signs of life. So again, it doesn't mean that they cannot go below this level, but when we build that base and accumulation zone, there tends to be strong support, and we've had that big run up, these bounces, and we're back there and testing that now. Without diving into the trading view charts with lines going everywhere, just visually looking at this, it's great to see it acting as support. So last week, Bitcoin was trading at around 64.50, and we were in this equilibrium pattern. We were looking lower if the ETF got rejected or we got some bad news, because the bounce we'd had so far was pretty weak. Not a lot of volume, but then we had that news that the market digested as positive, that the SEC were seeking feedback, and sometimes no bad news is good news. So we're still in this pattern. This is the weekly level that we would need to break here around 7,300. Let's zoom in and have a look at the daily, because again, our cycle brackets have just given us such a heads up. We're so lucky, guys. Anything that is over 60% accuracy in trading world, is pretty awesome. And the fact that these cycle brackets continue to give us these turning points and clear dates is just phenomenal. So the 17th was what we're looking at. Perfect bottom to the day, and now we've had this push up. So what we're looking at now, guys, is just healthy pullbacks, on lower volume. You can get out your fib retracements and whatever, but we want to just start that nice stair step pattern higher and see if we can challenge this area here. As I said, around 7,300, which was really strong resistance. We're going to meet this line in the longer term downtrend around here somewhere as well. So that's what we've got overhead. This tightening pattern is going to break in the coming weeks, and they tend to not go right to the end there. So the next date for cycle brackets, 4th of October. This week is going to be exciting. We're going to get some very clear information whether the ETF has been officially postponed all the way back to that February date, or even the takeaways from the statement they make might give the market a more clearer sense of direction. So it's funny how things change. Everyone bearish and calling for 3,000, 1,000, and within a few days, a bit of good news and everyone's excited again. So great to see. Ethereum last week was trading at around $214. We'd had that blood in the streets sentiment, as I spoke about. You guys know that trade and the stair step we've got higher now. We're still nowhere near even these levels around 250 before we fell off the cliff, 270. So we've got to regain that. That support will act as resistance there at 270. A lot of work to do. If Bitcoin has another leg lower, it's going to be interesting to see if Ethereum has a high correlation, as it has sort of broken away to the downside. Any sort of good news, that Raiden Lightning Network, Scaling Solutions, DevCon 4. Again, I'm really interested for all coins to see if they can start to move independently. Other than that, guys, I'm not going to go through too many altcoins this week. We spoke a little bit about Ripple. I'll just show you what that chart looked like. Again, even on the 15-minute I was watching at the time, this happened the other night. So anything that goes from 40 odd cents up 70%, when it's already extended. This was the 4 hours I was watching at the time, guys. There we go. So anything that gets up this high, 95, 96 at the time, look at that wick. That was the clear indication that this is going to give something back. Now, to Ripple's credit, it is consolidating pretty well. A classic bubble would have that dead count bounce and then continue down here. So if Ripple can consolidate, let's just get out our fib retracement. If you can consolidate around this area, guys, that's all nice and healthy. I don't want to always be seen to be bashing Ripple, but certainly for a method of payment, I am a fan of Bitcoin and that decentralized nature. A couple of thoughts to leave you with. this is why I love crypto Twitter. So even after 90% altcoin bloodbath and the community, were turning on each other, there was fear and tantrums and back and forward. As soon as that sentiment just turns with the slightest bit of good news, I love seeing everyone come together, the positivity, sharing trades and advice. And this is why Bitcoin and crypto is so unique. And I do think the next run we have is going to be the largest bubble in history. If we get institutional money pouring in and, the amount of people that want to see this succeed more than ever in history. This isn't one company or one little asset that's, has a small group of people trying to push it. This really is a huge social movement, as I've said so many times, guys, and I just can't wait for this to turn around. It's been a tough 2017. This is the date we've been waiting for, September 30 again. Let's see what guidance we get from the SEC. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Check out nuggetsnews.com.au for more information. We've got that free weekly newsletter. We've got our premium academy. You guys have been very supportive, and thanks for the feedback on the website. So smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, share these videos around, and thanks for tuning in, guys. Cheers.